Today we are talking about a V8 powered Ford Focus, why tires might mean the collapse of the environment and your testicles, and did Ferrari just sell their soul to the EV devil? It's more likely than you think. It's the Big Three. Oh yeah. Welcome to the Big Three, everybody. My name is Nolan Sykes. I'm fired up to be here. I got my Piastri shirt on. Gonna talk a little bit about this weekend's race. Joined this week by Max Maddox.
Hi.
And Felipe Armenta.
What's up, everyone?
What's up, dude?
Good to be back. I like that Piastri shirt, dude.
So, did you guys watch the race this weekend?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. I was planning to watch it.
We had Lando on pole. Oscar had a great launch off the line. Passes Lando into turn one.
He's been doing incredible.
Held on to the lead for most of the race until McLaren kind of bungled a pit call where they brought Lando in first and then left Oscar out, and Oscar for like another lap or so.
Just lost time.
Yeah, because then after Oscar's pit stop, like a lap later, he was released into traffic, I think, and just had to make up a bunch of time to Lando, when really they should have just given Oscar the first pit stop. So for like the rest of the race, for like 20 laps, McLaren is like telling Lando, like, hey, give the spot back to Oscar, swap spots. Even though Lando, I mean, could be argued, definitely earned the right to win the race. I guess it really just depends on like who you're really rooting for. I think, you know, also could be said, you know, Oscar had a pretty big lead on Lando before that bungled pit stop, before they brought him in and they kind of threw away the race for Oscar. So maybe that's why. It was just like a huge drawn out for like 15, 20 laps with Lando. The radio messages are crazy, and it kind of made both Lando and McLaren look pretty bad, I think.
Really bad. I think this is the onset. I mean, just following these past couple races, those two have been doing incredible.
They've been doing great,
So for me, it's like, okay, we're getting into this. It happens at every team. It happened, what was it? Daniel, Max at one point. And then there was Lewis, and when he first started, when he was with
Alonso, most of his teammates, Alonso,
all
Nico.
of them, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I think they're in that phase now where, listen, Lando's a really nice dude, really cool dude, really nice off camera, off the track. But at the end of the day, they're on track. They want to win.
There was, I forget who it was in the booth. I think it was DC, David Coulthard. When he was talking about the situation as the race was going on, he's like, they forgot what racing drivers really are at their core. All of them are selfish figures that are going to put themselves above all else. And to tell Lando that he needs to give the spot back is just like just really painful, because I guess DC had a very similar situation back in the day, almost to the T.
Who was it? With Sebastian Vettel, I believe, when they were teammates. No,
I think it was for Red Bull. Yeah,
it was early. I guess what I'm saying is they've all been through it. It's going to happen, and McLaren just happens to be in that spot right now.
It was just it was bizarre, but also made for just like a really, like, it wasn't super exciting race necessarily like Silverstone was with my boy Lewis winning, but it was a really interesting look into how it was a really interesting look into how McLaren operates and their relations with the drivers. At one point, Lando's engineer is like, Lando, you need to give the spot. If you want to fight for a championship, you need Oscar and you need the team behind you.
Oh my God.
And right now, it's not looking good. It was like
live radio. This is live radio.
That was on the radio that they broadcast on the TV, dude. And I was like sitting there listening like, oh my God, man. It was crazy. It was really, really compelling race. Really,
and it was Oscar's first ever win, right?
First win for Oscar. Again, kind of like a weird
win.
Yeah, it's not like you don't maybe feel like he got the full win. I did see the interview, and he was beyond unexcited.
Yeah. So, yeah, in the back of your head, maybe he's like, or if I was him, I'd be like, did I really earn that?
Sure,
like,
exactly.
He had such a great like first half of the race.
Listen,
really showed that he was capable of taking the lead, not only taking it, but also holding it.
For me, I think, because this often happens, like, you know, we all see these guys racing and we're like, oh, he didn't do well. I'm like, to just be able to control that car, period, to then be able to be on track with the best in the world. Like, these guys are ruthless, dude. You can see it. Like, when they're really driving, some of the stuff they do, I'm like, they're insane. They're truly insane.
Speaking of insane, too, Max did not have a good race, and the old Max came out, dude. It was a weird return to like first or second season Max. You got to watch the race.
Really? Oh my God! Now I'm excited.
It's
well,
really weird.
It's always interesting.
It was weird.
Parallel to the F1 world, you have MotoGP, and this year you have Marc Marquez. Marc Marquez dominated for years on the Honda. Then for years, Honda's not doing well. Now Mark Marquez is on a Ducati,
Mhm.
and last race he got P2. It's super emotional, whatever. But there's been moments where there's a whole documentary on Amazon, and he goes like, he's evolved. He used to be incredibly aggressive, push riders, and like on a motorcycle, it's like 10 times as dangerous as an F1 car. But he's evolved, and same thing. He's been doing the same recently, where he has these like lashes out of just being stupid, dumb decisions.
That's interesting.
Back
I've been watching a ton of MotoGP highlights recently on YouTube. I feel stupid for not getting into it earlier, dude.
I'm such a preacher. I mean, if you like racing, period, just the battling on track. But when you see the human is outside of, you see they have to move their body.
Yeah, they're inches from the track and from just getting completely maimed.
Do those bikes have ABS?
They do. I mean, there's that's a whole nother we could talk about.
There's
this. I could talk about this.
There's a lot of moments you'll see them coming in from like a high speed into like a really like a slow passing zone or whatever. But the rear of the bike's
really
like fishtailing around. Yeah, dude, it's really sick.
The history of how that like America had such an influence. The reason they used knee pucks was an American. He's the one that started dragging his knee because he had a dirt bike background, so he felt more comfortable being loose on the bike.
Wow. You did some riding over the weekend as well, didn't you?
Yeah, went and did some supermoto this
out at
98 degree weather. Yeah, dude. Oh my God, wearing a leather suit.
Yikes.
Oh God.
Yeah. I was drenched, but you know what? It's so much fun.
You were doing the supermoto out at Adams?
Yeah.
In Riverside?
Not the school, just riding. I was riding. Jeremiah has a 450 supermoto. And
that's sick.
Every once in a while he lets me ride it, which is thank you.
That's sick. Okay. Well, anything else this weekend? Oh, my flight got canceled.
You were supposed to be at a car show.
I was supposed to be in St. Paul. Yeah, I was supposed to go to the Modest Premium Auto Showcase in St. Paul. Unfortunately, CrowdStrike had other plans. I don't really know much about computers and such and how that works, but everything was messed up, and I got the weekend off. Took the time to just sit my ass on the couch and play some PlayStation.
I was gonna say, yeah, you and I were talking. You went through quite the library this weekend.
Oh yeah, I've finished up Ghost of Tsushima. I downloaded College Football 25. I really suck. I remember playing like Madden 2004 or NCAA, like the early ones for the PS2, and being like having fun as a kid. But now, I played football in high school. I still follow football occasionally, but like I don't know how zone defenses work anymore. Man cover it. Like I was just like selecting plays and whatever, not knowing what the hell I was doing. My first game I played, I put up like 69 points on the Fresno Bulldogs as the Aztecs, but then I turned the difficulty up and just got my ass kicked and was like, okay, I need to learn how football works again. So anyway, that's been really fun.
You're not the only one though. A bunch of people from Donut were in Texas over the weekend for a Zoomies event, and their flights got delayed like nonstop.
Oh yeah, I was surprised they were even able to get out there in the first place.
Yeah, well, because apparently there's an international technology outage, which was a result of a software update on Microsoft systems that for whatever reason Delta couldn't deal with.
Yeah,
and they couldn't keep track of the crews that were supposed to be assigned to the airlines, and I think they canceled like 5,000 flights.
Makes sense, dude. Yeah, just on Friday when that happened, like I was looking at my flight. I read the news in the morning. I was like, okay, I should be okay. It's the flight's later in the afternoon, and they got not canceled. They got like pushed by an hour and a half, and I was like, all right, that's still fine. Still get in a reasonable time, and then got canceled. So anyway, sorry if you were out at Modest this weekend, hoping to like meet up and say what's up or whatever. I'm really sorry. Blame CrowdStrike and also all the companies and governments that
rely on the same fragile infrastructure
that
could crumble.
Thought it was a good idea to have the same software on every single machine in their operation.
Hospitals.
We're gonna start talking about aliens soon enough.
Okay, yeah. Let's move on to some car news. Automakers are bringing back older badges left and right. We all know this. The Ford Capri was kind of leaked, announced last week.
Capri, huh?
It's like it's a crossover. You got the Bronco, of course. Bronco Sport, also a crossover. You got the Honda Prelude, luckily not a crossover. Chevy Blazer, crossover. But Honda has another one in the works. As reported by Car and Driver, Honda has filed patents for a boxy future vehicle that looks an awful lot like the lovely old Element.
Ooh,
Element,
we're getting
dude.
a throwback Element.
That's right.
The Element.
So for our younger and maybe cooler listeners, the Element was sold between 2003 and 2011. It was marketed as an all-around utility vehicle with tons of cargo space and an interior you could hose down, perfect for the Element's famously polyamorous fan base.
And that's what I remember about the Element in particular was that you could hose it off.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
You're going to need it, buddy. It also came with a K24 and a manual option if you so desired.
Too cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so this thing is pretty sick. The patent sketch has a shape and design that looks very much like the 2000s Element. Very boxy. The rear doors could be suicide doors for better cargo access. I think
like the Mini Cooper Countryman, one of those.
Oh, that has barn doors in the back,
door,
but the original Element had that as well, I believe. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The side
that was
doors
part,
were
that was
suicide doors.
part of
Yeah.
hosing it out was it opened all the way up and it was
Yeah.
all rubberized.
And that's how you could, an SSX3, you could famously grind through a Honda Element on one of the tracks, and those suicide doors made it possible.
And
so
that's how you fit all those thruples in there.
That's right, buddy. A similar patent filed by Honda shows a small boxy pickup truck, which could also be quite cool and could share the same chassis as the new Element looking thing. Let's try to pull up an image of this thing.
Let me peep this hog.
I'm wondering about those things on the back. At the very back, they almost look like those fins you see on
trucks,
on semi-trailers.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's what I was thinking.
So maybe those are like opened at speed, at highway speed. I don't
Okay,
know.
we've
That
got
could be
some,
kind of sick.
deploy the fins on the
Hypermiling.
Yeah. But I mean, it makes
Wow.
sense. Dude, when we were at the Honda headquarters in Torrance a couple months ago.
Oh, for the Honda
Passport.
Cars and Coffee?
Yeah, for the Cars and Coffee thing. A whole gang of Elements rolled in.
Interesting.
It's become like a cult classic, like overlanding kind of platform.
I had never considered nostalgia for the Element. Not once until right now. But now that you mention it, I mean, like, it is an interesting shape.
Low-key iconic.
It is.
It really
mean,
is.
With
I
the
think.
K24 too.
it's a sweet package. I remember my uncle got one when they first came out, and then he gave it to my cousin, and I was so jealous.
That's like,
So I was like,
in
I
high
want
school?
that. Yeah.
That's
it
a
was
great high school car. I think that's a perfect high
It's
school
a perfect
car.
high school car.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then same thing at the Honda Cars and Coffee. I think last time I was there was at least 40 of them.
Yeah. They
But
just roll up.
But they're all like just so customized. Like some of them have pocket bikes in the back. Some of them are like these crazy camping setups.
Yeah. It's really
Some
cool.
very cool.
I would love to see just a pack of Elements drive by.
Dude, you should have been there. They all came in at the same time. They coordinated. They took over. It became like a Honda Element meet.
I got passed by 3 Camaros at the same time on the freeway the other day. And I was like, those guys are all friends and they're having a lot of fun doing their thing. And then right after that, there was a bunch of Mustangs that were all getting pulled over on the side of the road. You can imagine the elation of the Camaro drivers when they saw that.
So if this thing is an EV, it could definitely be kind of like a direct competitor to the Volkswagen ID Buzz. I don't know. I think it's a perfect kind of platform to bring back as an EV. Honda has a current EV SUV. I think it's the Prologue, as they call it.
I don't even know.
Exactly, Phil. It's like out. I've seen them out and about on the road, but they're very inconspicuous, pretty boring looking. And I think if they want to make a splash in the space and get people excited, I think bringing back the Element makes a lot of sense.
It also looks very, I don't know, I'm thinking like vision wise. Honda tends to do this. They kind of like prototype stuff. They just try it out. They don't really market it. And then I can kind of see the vision if this is an EV box, and then, maybe it comes with the little Moto Compacto.
Ooh,
maybe
that's fun.
that's like a new line of Honda products.
Interesting. A little like slot in the back of the in
Dude,
the car.
That would be cool.
Throw that thing in
Charges off the battery. I feel like this is kind of Rivian-y, right? Like an adventure-focused EV from a major manufacturer. We don't really have anything like that. I think Rivian's kind of, they've got that whole outdoorsy thing going as far as EVs go.
Toyota and Subaru, they like took a swing with their Solterra and the BZ4X.
The
BZ4X.
worst car name.
Really bad car name. They had a lot of issues at the launch of that car.
Wow.
And the Solterra specifically, like thinking about Subaru and Adventure and all that, it looks like a bigger Crosstrek, but EV sort of, but it's still just not very, I don't know. The shape of the Element just makes so much sense. Like
it's a utility thing. It's just, it reminds me like this whole thing. I'm all for these practical, like downscaled vehicles, like the Junior Hilux, which we're not getting in the US, but more simple, just utility based. I don't need it to be fancy type stuff, but it seems like this is a better compromise of better for the city, probably.
For sure. Maybe.
Future comforts.
And then hopefully those arrow flaps on the back is like actually something that they're trying. I don't know. Of course, that I'm just basing that off of this drawing.
Crude patent, but yeah,
be pretty sick.
Yeah.
Makes us hope. Me, on the other hand, I do want a nice EV. I want a big, expensive, fast EV.
A few years ago now, like 2 years, we had the Taycan.
Oh, the Taycan.
Taycan wagon.
Yes.
It was so sick.
That's
and
the exception.
drove that around just wishing it was my life. But also the Taycan, Sport Turismo is like the hot rod one, the sporty one. I was thinking like, that's my daddy car right there. I mean, it's $200,000. So
I mean, don't get me wrong.
But
if I had the money, that's the one I would get. Like, I'm not particularly keen on EVs just because I'm like, you know what? I'm more on the, I may sound like a boomer, but I'm like, if I can still get the V8 powered version of something, I'll get that and enjoy it for now. But yeah, the Taycan, the wagon, that fastback,
it looks so sick.
Take my money.
Honda isn't the only ones feeding us morsels of what's in the pipeline. On the other hand of the financial spectrum is Ferrari. But what we're seeing here is set to debut next year, apparently. Ferrari's first EV test mule has been spotted in the wild driving around Europe. There are no specs out there just yet. Can't speak to anything. But in a recent interview with Autocar magazine, Ferrari CEO Benedetto Vigna said that several prototypes have already completed several thousand miles of testing and that they'll have the signature programmable sound.
Signature programmable sound.
What?
He also said that Ferrari will, quote, produce them in the right way. Yeah, like I said, specs are still a secret on this car. Ferrari actually did patent fake exhaust noise in 2023, last year. And this thing's got really, really terrible fake tailpipes.
That's got to be camouflage, though.
Yeah,
I think so.
It's meant to throw people off, probably.
Yeah.
This
there it is. There it is. And there's those pipes.
It's a little funky. It's like a crossover.
That's why I looked at that. I was like, that can't be it, man.
It's just, I don't know.
There's no way that's a Ferrari. They're not doing that. They're not.
I just can't believe it. Like, this is Ferrari. But also, mind you, Ferrari said we will never make an SUV, and then they make the Puro Sangre. But they created a whole new market segment for it. They're like, this is not an SUV.
Yeah.
This is a whatever.
I forget what they called it, but it was really silly. And this thing is also really silly. It looks like a giant hatchback. It has the proportions of a hatchback, but the size of an SUV. It looks like.
Mazda.
Oh, it's like the what was the Ioniq 5N that you drove recently?
I didn't drive it.
Oh yeah, that's
Justin and Jer. So stay tuned for that.
Right.
Ioniq N versus Mustang Dark Horse. Yeah, that should be interesting. So yeah, this thing's just strange, and I don't like it.
I guess, like, does Ferrari need to make EVs?
Money.
Yeah, money, maybe.
Yeah, but like rich guys are still buying V12s.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Is I think sports car makers in particular, like Ferrari, Lamborghini, will be kind of hit the hardest when it comes to making EVs and making them make sense in their lineup.
Especially for their efforts. I don't know. I feel Mercedes, sure, you sell consumer-based vehicles, you have so much income, and you can support something like F1. Ferrari, I feel, is synonymous with F1, but is it running out of like heritage runway?
Maybe that is the play for them because, I mean, you mentioned their SUV, the Puro Sangre, which costs like $450,000. So maybe it makes more sense.
Is this an effort for them to just have that revenue to
have
like
that
keep
consumer
doing
car?
I respect it. You know, at the end of the day, Ferrari's like, we do this because we want to go racing. But
yes,
is it? I don't know.
Do you think like let's say it's a $200,000 EV Ferrari?
Yeah.
Does that dilute the brand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ferrari cares about their brand more than anything else. That's why they sue people all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like someone at the Ferrari HQ probably vomited in their mouth when they saw the Mustang Mach-E. They must have been like, what are they doing? How is this any different though?
I have to imagine that this is what this is a consumer car meant to pad the pocketbook a little bit and make it so that they can continue to have the money to develop things like the SP3 Daytona. That's sick.
Because to me, it's like,
I don't even know Ferrari models anymore. I don't know. But
if they do the Rimac approach, which was like, okay, full EV Ferrari sports car, that's to me, okay, that's different. Yeah. This feels weird. Yeah.
Well, I guess now that I think about it, the Pininfarina Battista is another one of those like 2,000 horsepower. It would need to be something like that. Ferrari was going to do an EV, I think.
Yeah. So looks weird. Don't know.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't make rich people too upset.
Yeah,
So.
they've really been going through.
They've been going through it. Bentley got rid of the W12.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're going hybrid electric. I'm really feeling for them.
Yeah, just pour one out for the rich guys. So yeah, there's no doubt though that this Ferrari EV will be burning through tires when it comes out. It's got to have that power, right?
It's gonna be cool.
And while that's a lot of fun, love burning those tires, it might lead to some unintended consequences. That's right. It's time for everybody's favorite topic, the environment.
The environment.
So the United States and Europe have only just started to research the environmental impact of tire and brake pad particulates. And I promise you this is going somewhere interesting. Well, I'm just saying it is interesting, but it's not very sexy is what I'm trying to say.
Can be.
Well,
Can be.
We're going to find out. This is not sexy, Max. Worn tire compound is considered a microplastic, meaning it gets into the soil and waterways and could very possibly have long-term environmental and human effects, like being found in your testicles.
Whoa.
If you have any of them.
Burnouts are going to affect your test, dude.
Not just your test, but your swimmers as well. Auto Week reported that the majority of ocean microplastics are now believed to be generated by tire rubber. Worn out tires produce about 1,850 times more particles than vehicle tailpipes. What?
Damn.
What? That's according to research done by UK research firm Emissions Analytics. You know, that's what I call myself after a
little Chipotle session.
That's when you take out the notepad and start writing some stuff down for your doctor.
7 toots a day. The European Union has come up with some new guidelines to address this, at least when it comes to tires. So far, no official guidelines have come from the EPA, but it is aware of the issue. I remember like a couple years ago reading some research about tire particles and being like, you know, people who live on freeway corridors have higher instances of asthma and other respiratory issues. And that's when I was living like a block from the 10 and, started worrying a little bit.
Dudes will avoid using plastic cutting boards, but then we'll just do big milky burnouts all day.
I mean, that is kind of what we're talking about. Yeah. It's not just tire smoke, it's tire vapor, really, right? When you're doing a big old burnout.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that literally is rubber dust.
Oh, man.
I wonder how the street takeover community is going to respond to this news.
I'm sure very responsibly. So
they got to be concerned.
Meanwhile, auto parts companies like Bosch, love that show, have been monitoring brake pad emissions in its testing since 2022.
It seems like kind of really recent.
Pretty recent.
For them to start realizing that about tires.
I don't really know how to process this news. I love doing big skids.
Even brake
smoking
dust.
Tire. Yeah.
Even aside from, because, you know, I feel like we've all been there. You go for a drive, you come back after washing your car or something, and your wheels are black again.
Disgusting.
It's not like your brake dust just sticks to your wheels. It's going out everywhere. Into the air. Yeah.
Like, thinking about that now, even driving just for fun, it's like, oh man, putting my microplastics out there.
Putting your particulates everywhere. I put my particulates everywhere as well.
Yeah, well, I'm more focused on macroplastics right now.
Macroplastics, big plastics. I think technology can solve this. I think engineering can solve this. I'm thinking about how far tires have come in the last 100 years as it was.
It's true.
You know,
I was reading that LA is dumping roughly $4 billion into its metro system to, like, I don't know, make it more efficient. It's going to connect to different parts of the city now. So I think there's a lot that we can do.
Definitely. Yeah.
Like, aside from just maybe the car problem is there right now. Let's work on it. But
that's
you
true.
can fix other methods of transportation.
Absolutely. I mean, you go to cities with
Tokyo.
Tokyo.
You go to Japan and you can go anywhere. The trains are, it's just such an efficient system. I'm like, why don't we have that?
I mean, we kind of do. I mean, in the US, at least, you know, New York, very robust. Chicago, even. Their system is insane. I love it. You do not need a car if you live in like, Chicago proper. Maybe if you live out in the suburbs, probably. But like, you know, Chloe lived there for a year and we never drove anywhere. We just walked around, took subways, and it was fine. Exactly. I'm certain that the Chicago area probably has lower tire particulates than somewhere like LA, where it's so automotive dependent around here. I mean, that's the reason why LA is one of the meccas of car culture in the first place, is that we are so dependent on cars.
So dependent
in our daily lives, you know?
So I was stuck in traffic and I'm like, how are there so many cars? And it's usually just one person per car in the city.
I get really envious when I go to other cities with really good public transit and just then have to fly back here and immediately
It's like, oh, we don't care.
We're building that train station at LAX, but right now you have to like go to the Uber or taxi area to get out of the airport, or have someone pick you up if they love you a lot. But
I am very selective to who I take to LA.
I think you're right though, Phil. It's like we don't have to necessarily nerf our tires to solve this issue. We just have to build up other segments or other pillars of our society that need to be built up anyway.
Yeah, I guess it's I think it's just easy to point the finger. And I'm not saying this is not an issue, because obviously it is. And whatever the solve is.
We got microplastics in our nuts, guys.
Not for long, dude. Never mind.
What I was going to say. Please elaborate.
No, I'm good.
So I think we can solve this. We can handle this.
Yeah, I'm interested. Yeah. We'll see.
I want to be teleported to work, but then I want to like drive my race car on the weekends. I think that's the compromise that I'm willing to make.
Totally. I think so too. I'm with, it's a very, Jay Leno's been saying for decades that he wants the daily and EV and then drive his fun cars on the weekends. I think,
he does.
Yeah. Take a train to work, take a, transit to work, whatever. And
Skyhook
me to work. Yeah.
A drone drop.
A drone flies down your street, skyhooks you, and like you have to then like unlatch and skydive onto the roof here.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I mean, something like that.
That's the society that I imagine.
That's right. It seems like a very daunting problem, but I think we can solve it. We got it. There's means of solving this.
And we can do our part, You don't need those extra dusty pads if you're just commuting. Maybe you just go
I took my race pads off my car after a little bit. I was like, I don't need this right now. I don't autocross that much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
no one's growing up.
It's true. And growing out. So I guess the best thing that we can do as individuals, maybe take public transit a little bit more, recycle and buy used maybe in some other cases. Speaking of buying used, it's time for a tab check, everybody.
Ooh.
That's right.
Tab check. Oh my God, I am ready to talk about this.
This week on Bring a Trailer, we got a Plymouth Voyager with a 2.5 liter turbocharged engine and a manual transmission.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a Shelby minivan right here, guys.
Wow.
Yes.
So this is 1989. This is right when minivans were starting to come out. Really boxy, really small. Basically just a chubby station wagon.
Big old chubby station wagon.
Wheels.
And this is K-car based as well.
Oh,
I believe,
really?
right? Yeah, Chrysler with the 2.5. Could be wrong. I checked that.
Had never seen these. I'll be very honest until you shared it.
Yeah. In our car channel.
I think Zach was sitting next to me and he's like, dude, they're great. Apparently his buddies used to like just have a bunch of these.
Really?
And rip them. Or one of his buddies. I forgot how the story went, but he's like, they are bulletproof. You can tune them. They're fun.
Wow.
I seriously considered it.
So this is sick, dude.
Yeah, it's got a bright red interior.
Just red cloth seats,
Very
red
fun.
dash. I love that.
Basically, if you took a Shelby Charger Daytona from the 80s and made it a minivan, this is what you get right here. So apparently, this is kind of like a project car. This is not like straight from the factory. This is not like a Survivor, okay? This is someone's project car. The manual transmission was added recently by the seller. The AC doesn't really work, apparently. That was a big point of contention in the Bring a Trailer comments. Yeah, I mean, it just looks fun.
There's so much room in that engine bay.
Oh, only 150 horsepower too, so.
Bad, but I mean,
Not
it
for that.
probably makes cool noises. I think it's got a blow-off valve.
Yeah, it does.
It's a cool homie
You'd have fun
hauler.
with that.
That is a very cool homie
That'd be
hauler.
fun. So, how much did it sell for, Peter?
Deal.
This thing sold for $7,250 last week.
Not
I
bad.
think a pretty good deal to roll up
Very
to
good
Radwood
deal.
with and just talk about cassette tapes.
That seems like something maybe Joe could get now that he's in his
Dad.
boy dad
Oh,
era.
yeah.
He messaged me over the weekend, said he's looking at excursions.
Excursion.
Oh,
Yeah, like a big old excursion
The
with a
Eddie Bauer
V10 or a big diesel.
Yeah. Peter just said his Wisconsin's coming out. I don't know if that's the best choice for Joe's situation right now. Dude, parking in his neighborhood is impossible.
Mhm.
I always have to park like 4 blocks away.
Yeah,
That
he
is
goes through
tight.
those phases, just like you.
He does.
We all do.
Yeah.
Listen,
Look, he needs to find something that really hits the mark for all of his needs, like I did when I bought my Ram. I haven't thought about buying a used car since I bought that thing.
yeah, tell me.
And it's
'cause
been weeks.
It's been 6 weeks. That's a long time for me.
I didn't even know you had it. So I saw it outside and then I was like, who's driving this?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's Nolan's new
B.
truck. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's sick.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I was stuck between a few different towing options since I had the Civic and the Imp and all that. I was like, I need something that can tow, and I wanted a new daily driver because the Mustang is just getting kind of ratty. And on Thursday, actually, we refreshed the car a little bit. And you guys will be seeing a video on that in a few weeks. But I don't know. I just wanted something new and something that could tow and but also be easy to park. And surprisingly, that thing's not super long.
It's perfect.
It's great.
It's a great bench seat.
It does have a bench seat.
Oh, dude. Great.
The only thing, I wish it had a column shifter, but it doesn't.
I say this candidly, but I think I told you, you're slowly turning into Hank Hill.
Hank Hill or my dad. My dad has been, showing up, and he has a 4-door Ram in like nearly the same color, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I love that thing. But yeah, I don't know.
What's your dad's favorite car?
I don't know. He probably have a list of them. Probably some Mopar, or you know what? He had a '67 Camaro that he built when he was in high school.
That's sick.
And then he ended up selling that thing to his cousin, who turned it into a land speed car. And ever since then, I've wanted to like find a '67 at some point.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
My dad had a S13 coupe.
What?
I love that thing. Yeah, when we were younger. Notchback.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah, 2 of them. And to this date, I'm like, why didn't you just hold on to one? I was like, but I remember just the seat belt, little device, everything.
I found out that my parents bought from my aunt and uncle a notchback, not 86, but the 85.
Yeah, I think it was the 85.
Yeah, they had one of those. And I was like,
what?
Yeah. I know, all of our parents just had cool shit.
Cool
Back when it was just a,
didn't know.
Corolla.
Yeah.
What about you, Max?
My dad loves the Porsche 911.
Oh,
yeah,
great
I think
taste.
he'd go for like 70s, 60s era 911 probably.
Nice. I recently, there's a new video on, I think on the Singer channel or something, or Top Gears. I forgot where I saw it, but I want a Singer. I want an old 911 Singer.
Mm. Well, you better have $1.5 million, dude.
Starting a Patreon.
I know, dude. I saw a 911 pop up for sale, and I watched the driving video, and it probably only has 200 horsepower, but dude, it's so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
They are cool. They are cool, but NSX is still cooler, man.
I told you Chloe's grandparents have one, right?
They have
They have one, yeah.
Pop-up headlights?
I believe so. It's an automatic, but I'm still like,
You can swap it.
I know, it's so sick.
I had a weird neighbor who had he had an NSX, he had a Via-Cross, he had an MR2 at one point. He had all kinds of weird cars that he would cycle through. And he's like lived right next door. I never talked to him or anything. He was kind of a reclusive dude.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember that
probably because
NSX.
so many people are coming to his garage asking him about his cars.
Probably get tired. Yeah.
All that to say that when Joe finds that perfect car that meets all of his needs, I think won't be looking at so much stuff. He'll break the cycle.
Well, he did buy a RAV4.
He did?
Didn't he
He was
buy
looking
a RAV4?
at them, right? Last I talked to him, they were looking heavily at RAV4s.
I thought that's what he landed on. But he's also looking at V10 excursions.
I don't think you should do that. The V10, that's the,
you don't want
the diesel
that right
V10.
now.
I don't think is like a.
No, I think it's a gas V10, and then there's a diesel V8 option. The V10, I think, is a Triton.
Yeah. You're right. I don't know, man. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right for him. Excursion? I don't know.
I don't know.
That is a very Midwest kind of pick. Yeah.
I would want to like FaceTime him right now and be like,
some rusty ass excursion.
Should we call him real quick?
What if he's...
All right. Hey, Joe. You're on the big 3 right now. What's it?
Sure, okay.
I heard you were looking at Ford Excursions.
Yeah. I'm looking at the either the V10 Triton, the 6.8 liter or 6 liter diesel one. I can't figure out which one I want, but I want to do a 4x4 build maybe in the next couple of years, and I think that is a good one to start off with because they're pretty cheap for a diesel.
Fair.
He sounds out of breath.
What? Sorry, is this a bad time?
No, I was just about to go to the bathroom.
Oh, okay.
He's just
okay. Well, I don't know. I was just just flummoxed by. I've never seen you express any desire for one of those things.
I think you should do it, Joe.
Max says you should do it.
Of course, Max. Always a little devil on the shoulder. Yeah, I honestly started thinking about them because we're reaching out to Ford to get they don't have
Ranger Raptors
anymore, but it's something
the Expedition.
Expedition XL for the road trip up to Monterey Car Week.
That's right.
Oh.
Nolan was like, "Oh, get an excursion," and I emailed them. I was like, "Can we get an excursion?" They were like, "We stopped making those in 2000."
Nobody.
And then I saw V10, and my eyes perk up. When
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would just suggest do some research on those engines.
Everyone says they're bulletproof.
The V10, right?
Well, yeah. Is the diesel one less?
I've heard some weird things about that gen of diesel, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
The diesel ones are still like 17 grand with 250,000.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Shit, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, I'll let you go, and we'll see you next week on the show. How about that?
Cool. I'll see you next week. Wink ignition.
All right. See you, Joe. Well, okay. Maybe I just don't know my Ford motors. I don't know.
I think
I just feel, I don't know.
If it'll make him happy, that's my philosophy. If your friends ask you if they should do something regarding a vehicular purchase, and you know that they want to do it, why would you prevent them?
And they are going to do it no matter what, usually.
I just think in Joe's case, he's had, since I've known him, he's had a few different cars that haven't quite hit that itch for him yet.
He got the Shiro 300ZX.
The Shiro. There was the BMW at one point.
That's right. He got a 330i
convertible.
What's now the
E46.
Audi?
Yeah. And then he had the Audi hatchback, which I think he's
still
he's about to get rid of it, but he still has it. Yeah.
So I don't know.
And now he's got the other 300ZX that he just bought,
which is a pretty nice car. So,
and I've convinced him. I supported him in every single one of those purchases, for the record.
Wow,
good friend.
And I think he just needs to find what he wants. Looking for that miracle whip.
Yeah, that's true. Okay,
maybe it's an excursion.
Maybe.
Anyway,
that is really funny that Ford was like,
"Yeah, we don't make this anymore."
It's been like 20 years. What the fuck are you talking about? That's right. That's embarrassing for us.
You know what else Ford doesn't make?
That's right. A Focus with a V8 in the freaking hood in the front. So this thing, so we found this online. It's a V8 powered Coyote V8, mind you.
Dude.
Ford Focus, got rear wheel drive. It's got a Tremec manual transmission.
Damn.
Hell yeah. It's got Mustang Cobra brakes, supercharger. This thing's pumping out 725 horsepower. It was on sale on Facebook Marketplace for $53,000.
I don't know, dude.
Somebody bought it.
Really?
Yeah. Somebody ponied up the money.
Can we find this person?
Yeah, so
it's
this thing's
orange.
This thing's very, very orange.
Whoa.
I would have loved that in high school. My bedroom when I was in high school was
that's
orange.
a midnight club build.
53 grand. I feel like that's what
too much.
Somebody invested a lot of money in this and they wanted to get their money was worth out of it. This feels excessive.
Yeah.
This is where I tell so many people, friends come up to me and they're like, dude, but what if I put a turbo and do this? I'm like, okay, do whatever you want. Just every penny you put into this car, you're going to get a very, very, very small return on it.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And might be a theme of the Mustang video I announced or alluded to earlier.
Oh, onto something.
Interesting. So, crazily enough, not a word. Ford created its own V8 Focus back in 2003, right when they were canceling the Excursion. They called it the RS8, and it had a 5-liter, 425 horsepower crate engine dubbed the Cammer. Cammer.
I'm about to drop the Cammer.
Yeah, the Cammer. It had a bunch of LEDs in its bedroom and a gaming chair and a hot tub maybe in the back.
Yeah,
skirting some Twitch guidelines. This Cammer engine. Yeah, that's a weird little. Now
that's why.
Are they gonna drive this thing? I mean, maybe take it out to the car shows and stuff. It'd be kind of fun, I guess.
725 horsepower Ford Focus.
Probably does donuts like a motherfucker.
Probably spins them rubbers like a goddamn sumbitch.
Well, Mike Day, friend of the channel, he built that rear. Is that a V8 too? V8
it's a BMW M62 V8 powered Volkswagen Golf.
Yeah.
So sick, and he drifts that thing.
Oh yeah.
So this thing could probably get some sideways.
Yeah, this thing probably makes ropey skid marks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude.
53K though.
53. There's no way they paid that much. They're probably like, hey, I'll give you 30.
Cut your losses.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that is our show this week, guys. Big 3. Follow Felipe at
Phil Armenta.
Phil Armenta. You've had so many
I
IG
know.
names.
I am
I
so
can't
sorry.
remember. I'm
I am so
sorry.
sorry.
Phil Armenta. Though. That's
Tenderoni.
I was trying to protect my friends and family from too much car spamming.
I understand.
Then I was like, you know what? This is who I am.
I understand.
I'm
Phil
sorry.
Armenta. Follow Phil at Phil Armenta. Follow Max at Max Maddox. Follow me at Nolan J. Sykes if you'd like. Big thank you to the crew this week. We got Gavin Kinzel, Mark Schroeder, Peter Nelson, and Nick Giamuso. Edgar Grajeda as well, helping set up the sets. And I'd like to thank you once again for listening, and we will see you next week. Joe will be back from baby jail. That's
All
right, guys.
right.
Joe Weber, back to the show. A couple of you guys have asked how you can reach the big three. You can hit us up at pastgas@donutmedia.com. We still need to set up an account for this show, but pastgas@donutmedia.com, and let us know your thoughts on anything that we've covered this week.
Anything. Send us cool Craigslist finds.
Anything. That might just flood the
That opening
inbox.
the floodgates.
Yeah. Anyway, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.